It's going to let its instincts take over. And humans don't do that. We exercise an element of restraint.
So, Berno.
Normally I play a game with people. Living in England for the past 20 years, especially after COVID. COVID messed up my concept.
Sure.
Humans don't do that.
If man decided what books to add in the Bible, what books to take out of the Bible, how can we trust that? Is it two separate gods, or
it just all falls in place?
I've been asked to ask you.
Like 3,000 people in that moment decide, yeah, we want to follow Jesus.
Is Jesus tolerant? It's been 10 months since Charlie Kirk was How should we react to this? What should we do?
Another thing to say, you deserve to be killed. We live in an instant gratification world.
You've got a wolf who's chained up in the light, and you've got a wolf who's chained up in the dark. Who survives? Between you and me, is Jesus real? Berno, thank you very much.
Thank you,
So, Berno,
hi.
Thank you for meeting with me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
My first question is, who is Berno? Who are you? Where have you come from?
Big question. Normally I play a game with people to try and guess, but as you can see, I'm giving it away already here. I'm from South Africa, although I've been living in England for the past 20 years.
Wow.
But I was brought up in South Africa, had an Afrikaans education.
Lovely.
Brought up in the Reformed Church of South Africa, so quite a reformed, formal type of...
Whereabouts in South Africa?
Near Pretoria, so just east of Pretoria.
Nice.
And then came to the UK to do a gap year, so I'm still going strong. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And what is your job?
I'm a professional Christian, so I get paid to be a Christian.
Lovely.
Which involves being part of a church, pastoring. So my job title is associate pastor at Branschool Community Church.
Lovely.
And I've done youth work in the past. So part of that is overseeing the youth side of things of church, but then also being involved in preaching and helping work with Andy, who's the pastor here, to just think through kind of how is God directing us, what are the themes or the topics that we want to explore through the Bible, and then go and teach that to people of all ages. So that's part of the fun. Yeah,
that's brilliant. That's really good.
Yeah.
When did we meet? When was it we met?
It's probably when I had an kind of induction or an introductory youth night, I think, a Monday night youth.
And that was how many years ago?
That was almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Time just I don't know what, time is weird, especially after COVID. COVID messed up my concept.
Sure. I think I did to everyone.
Yeah.
What is your favourite Bible verse?
What is my favourite Bible verse?
As a pastor.
Do you know, I can't go on Bible verse because I've realised that a verse just doesn't do it justice. My favourite book, is that
brilliant? Yeah.
My favourite, I really like the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, having read it quite a few times, it's about wisdom. It takes this broad perspective of life and almost the breadth of life and explores it and then draws various conclusions from it. So it starts quite depressing, I think.
Right.
But then as you go through the book, it starts giving a bit of perspective. Broadness of life, what is important in life, and how to live it. So that I really like that.
That's a good book.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to give that a read. I haven't read it yet.
Give it a read. Take your time to mull it over. It's classified as a book of wisdom, so it's meant to be. You mull over it like all your life.
Ecclesiastes. That's in between Proverbs and Song of Solomon, isn't it?
Yeah, it follows after Proverbs. I think.
Right.
But I think you know all the books in the Bible, right? It's impressive. That's very good.
I had to learn it as a little kid.
Yeah.
I brought up just memorizing. I had a bookmark. So every time I read a book or Bible, just memorize it.
Very cool.
In 2026, we
right,
have all these religions.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is Christianity? Why should someone choose Christianity? Why is that the one true religion out of all the religions?
Do you know what? We live in a time, I think, where, particularly within our Western culture, when it comes to big truth claims like that feels a bit like, you can't say that, really.
Controversial.
I think people might find that controversial because sometimes people like to say, you do you, and you believe whatever you want.
Sure.
But it's all subjective. Truth is subjective, which means there is no absolute truth. There's nothing that is certain when it comes to, we're talking religions particularly. It's like, well, that doesn't work logically, because there is certain truths that exist in this world, like gravity is a truth that we observe.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ walked this world. That is truth.
Right.
It is a historical truth. He was a genuine, real person. The debates are more around, was he really the Son of God, or was he just really mad and kind of a bit weird, or was he trying to deceive people? Was he trying to lie and deceive people? But the reason, I guess, I would say that to live for Jesus is true and to follow his way for life is the ultimate truth, the real truth, is because that the results it promises to deliver, it delivers.
Yeah.
So, for example, Jesus teaches, he's got one of, there's 4 people that wrote about him: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And 2 of them were his friends, like disciples. They were really close and walked with him. And so they were there when he taught all the stuff he taught. And Matthew writes, quite early on, he writes about Jesus doing all these kinds of teachings. And Jesus finishes one block of teaching saying that if you bear these teachings in mind, it's like a tree that bears fruit. The person who listens to this teaching and really lives it out is like a tree who bears good fruit. And a tree that is not planted in him will produce bad fruit. Right. So the idea of producing fruit is it shapes your character and it turns you into a good person. Right. And then that is part of the evidence of the reality of and the truth of living in Jesus' life. But the catch there is, for us humans, no one's perfect, right? Sure. That's a universal truth. There we go. That's not subjective. Yeah. We all know no one's perfect. Yeah. Although Jesus made this claim that he's perfect. So as Christians, we take that as truth. Yeah, we believe it's true. Right. But we can't, in our own way, if we just try and live the way Jesus lives, it goes against our human nature, in some regard. Because some of the things Jesus says, it's just like, it doesn't make sense.
Can you give an example of
that? Jesus says, for example, love your enemies. There's one, love your enemies. It sounds great, but if someone is truly horrible to you, you'd want to, our natural instinct, if someone is mean to me, I'm going to pay them back. I want to give them back what they deserve and the extra bits so that they can learn their lesson. And this is what we did on the playground at school, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This is what happens in the world as well with, you think world leaders. Someone does something, they just do a little bit extra back and it escalates. It never resolves anything. Sure. And Jesus is saying, no. The way to repay your enemy is to show them love, to be kind to them, to not give them justice, but do the opposite. Be nice to them. It doesn't mean you have to like them and be buddy with them. Sure. But the way you treat someone who's mean to you, he flips it around and he says, no, give them the respect that they are meant to have because, and this goes right back to the start of the Bible, because they created in the image of God. So a lot of what Jesus teaches is rooted in the Old Testament as well.
So if we are created by God, wouldn't he have to create like our natural instincts, our want to push back?
So he's created us with our human desires, right? So he's given us desires. Yeah. We then need to exercise wisdom in how we express our desires.
Right.
So we've got physical desires, but we're different to animals, right?
Sure.
Animals just do whatever they feel like, right? If you imagine a dog and it smells another dog on heat, it's gonna let its instincts take over. Humans don't do that. We exercise an element of restraint.
Sure. Yeah.
But this is the thing with our humanity, is that there's something about us that makes us think, okay, this is how I might feel, or this is how I might want to respond to something. But I've got a moment to think, and I've got a choice, actually. I don't have to respond that way. I can respond differently. And that is what makes us unique to animals.
Sure.
In that we've got that ability to have self-control.
Yeah.
To think, no, this is not the right time for this. There is a time for it, but this is not it. right now.
That's really
So
good.
how we exercise our desires is part of the problem in one sense, because again, if you go right back to the start of the Bible, talking about Adam and Eve and the whole tree and the fruity business, it's all about desire and how Eve responded to a desire that was presented to her when it wasn't necessarily the right time for that. But then that caused humanity our downfall, because actually we all have that. We all have those moments where we desire something that we want.
Sure.
And we just, well, why not take it?
So within Christianity,
yeah,
I would argue that the main source, the main thing which backs it up and keeps it moving is the Bible.
Yeah.
Right? That's the main fix.
Yeah,
Christianity. If that Bible is the main source, then we must make sure that the Bible is trustworthy. Right?
That's right, yeah.
But we know things like in the Council of Nicaea, books were taken out, books were added in, and ultimately it wasn't Jesus or God who decided what goes in the Bible. He wasn't writing it.
Yeah.
It was other people writing it for him.
Yeah.
So if man decided what books to add in the Bible, what books to take out of the Bible, how can we trust that if it's man who did it and not God or Jesus?
Yeah, good. That's right. And then there's the translation issue as well, which we might get to. But
yeah, sure.
I think it's really important to ask those questions, because how credible is the Bible? How because there's as Christians we claim it's the Word of God. Massive claim, isn't it? It's huge. It's like, okay, what's in this? It's like God is the ultimate authority, so we're going to use the Bible as a way to maybe, I don't know, change things or impact the world around us. Now, the Council of Nicaea and there were a couple of councils in that era. They happened because church leaders, there were kind of various letters spreading around. And it was over the period, from about Jesus's time, he had his disciples, who are also called apostles. Difference is they graduated from learning from him to be the ones who spread his teachings and his word. So a disciple is an apprentice. An apostle is, okay, right, you're now a messenger. You've kind of given.
So disciples and apostles aren't the same thing?
It's not the same thing, but it's the same people.
It's when they move from being a disciple to an apostle.
That's right. Yeah. So in this story we see when Jesus died, he was resurrected. They all met together, his close followers. There was 12 of them, but they were still terrified. These guys, these disciples, they were hiding away after Jesus' death and during that period.
Right.
And then they saw Jesus go up into heaven, and in that process, Jesus said, "Right, you need to now go. I'm giving you my authority, the authority I have. I've got all of the authority, and I give that to you. Go to all nations. I don't exclude anyone. My message, my life, and what I've done here is for everybody. So go and teach that to them." And then there's this moment where they again sat in a room in Jerusalem during the Feast of Pentecost, and suddenly the Holy Spirit comes down on them. It describes like tongues of fire coming down on them. And it is in that moment where it clicks that suddenly it just all falls in place. It's like, all the puzzle pieces that they've been taught and things falls in place. And it's where that almost transformation from being a disciple and an apprentice shifts to, we're taking this message to the world because we understand it. We get it now. It just clicks. And so they go out, and Peter's the first one. It's quite fun reading about the characters and how they're portrayed. It's a real transformation in character where Peter suddenly stands up and he's addressing this massive crowd. A few moments ago, he was terrified, and now he's suddenly so courageous. He stands up and he addresses the whole crowd, and like 3,000 people in that moment decide, we want to follow Jesus. He's this Messiah waiting for. Now, the reason these apostles are important is when it comes to the writings of the Bible, when they decided at these councils, what writings do we include, what do we exclude? They based it on who was the closest to Jesus in terms of relationship and his message, or the closest connected to one of the apostles.
Right.
So in the New Testament, you've got writings from Matthew, who was a disciple or apostle. Right. Mark, which was closely associated there's a bit of debate around which mark he was.
Okay.
Luke was a historian who traveled with Paul and who knew the other apostles, and Peter, he knew them, so he wrote about them. And John, who was also a disciple of Jesus, one of Jesus' really closest friends, John. And then you've got Paul, who had a connection with the apostles. And then you've got Peter, who wrote a book, who was one of Jesus' disciples. You've got James, who was a half brother of Jesus. There's the book of Hebrews, which we don't know who wrote it. There's all kinds of speculation around it. The content of the book is clearly rooted in Old Testament kind of Jewish law and ideas, but it's relating to Jesus.
Right.
So it's when it comes to the whole of all the other parts of the Bible, it connects really well, and it's all linked together. It's a massive hyperlinking.
Sure, yeah.
And then you've got Jude. I think Jude was also related to Jesus.
Okay.
And then there's Revelation, which is the last letter, and traditionally that's also attributed to John, one of the apostles. So when the Council of Nicaea took place, this debate was already going on for a few hundred years, because one of the first heretics who was trying to put together a collection of New Testament material absolutely loved Paul. Right. So like, right, let's include Paul's writings. Wasn't so keen on the other stuff, but he also saw that the God of the Old Testament is not the same as the God of the New Testament. And I think this is still something that people struggle with today.
So it's two separate gods, or?
Right, yeah. So his idea is like, I love the writings of Paul and his idea about God and kind of grace and that side of things.
Right.
And this guy was called Marcion.
Okay.
So he kind of put forward, these are the New Testament books. Church leaders then looked at this and saying, no, actually, we don't accept your version of what should be added on to the Old Testament, because you're chopping and changing as you like, and that's causing problems.
Sure.
You're bringing in false teachings, and there's all kinds of, the reason these councils takes place, it's because of all kinds of false teachings that people gravitate towards that detract from Jesus's and the apostles' teachings.
Right.
And so that's why they then decided, okay, we need to figure out, when it comes to these writings that we've got, a lot of them are in circulation in the local churches already. We need to establish which ones are the ones that are solid, and it links totally with the whole Old Testament. It doesn't, it's all linked.
Doesn't go against it.
It doesn't go against it. Although sometimes you read something and you think, oh, that's a bit odd, the way they use certain passages linking into the Old Testament. So there's a lot of history. I think that's the thing, is it's easy to look at the Bible and think, I don't know if I can trust this, because a bunch of men sat together.
Sure.
Yeah, it's almost picking and choosing. But that's because we're sat here, and this happens 1,700 or so years ago.
Sure.
So it's good to kind of look into that process and how it's developed.
What language did Jesus speak?
He would have spoken Hebrew, Aramaic,
right.
And he might have even spoken Greek.
So it's now July.
Yeah.
It's been 10 months since Charlie Kirk was for those who don't know, Charlie Kirk was a Christian activist. He was sort of a politician. He had his own group called Turning Point USA.
Yeah.
How should Christians respond to this?
How should Christians respond to this? I mean, it was...
I've been asked to ask you.
Yeah, that's fine. So... in itself, just the event of itself is horrific. It's one thing to say, I don't like what you're saying, what you're about. Yeah, that's one thing. I disagree with you. It's another thing to say you deserve to be killed.
100%.
Yeah, that's 100%. And as a Christian, it goes back to that whole thing of being created in the image of God. We all have value. So how should we view another human being who does atrocious stuff? My personal approach is to pray for them that by the grace of God, they recognize their mistakes. In the way that Paul, for example, the Apostle Paul, when he came about, he was going out persecuting Christians. He put people who believed in Jesus in jail and wanted to get them killed. He was on a mission, he was on a proper mission. He made it his mission. And then on one of those missions to go and do it, he had this encounter with Jesus that totally turned his life around. That made him one of the biggest influences of Christianity still today. And so for someone who is in that place, we think of, well, who are the modern day evil people from our world? Depending on where you stand on Russia and Ukraine, but Putin he's an interesting character. He believes in Jesus.
Really?
He believes he's a Christian. Yeah, to wish the death on someone is not in the spirit of Christ.
Sure.
To wish for their eyes opening up and recognizing the evil that they're doing. Like, the people who have done bad stuff, when they do recognize the truth and they really genuinely encounter it, like, man, it changes their lives as well as the people that reach as well. So, we're talking about Paul as an example. What would be a modern day example?
Well, I mean, this shooter who shot Charlie Kirk, I mean, you could say he's shooting critically Christian. I mean, he was politically
motivated.
Yeah. How should we react to this? What should we do? Should we pray? Or
totally, yeah.
Is that what we should be doing?
We should pray. I think often we want justice, right? Justice is a good thing. But we also need to bear in mind that as much as we seek justice for someone else doing something, we've got to take ourselves into consideration as well, because we too make mistakes, and we see it in varying degrees. But yeah, the best thing you can do is just to pray for that person, that they really see the light.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's also being able to recognize, like, that's not, should not live in the world without done. Yeah.
Going back to sin.
Yeah.
There's so much sin in this world. We spoke about what sin actually means.
Yeah.
But there's so much in this world which goes against God, goes against the idea of God, and like Christians say, is ungodly.
Sure.
Is Jesus tolerant?
Is Jesus tolerant?
Is Jesus tolerant?
What do you mean by is Jesus tolerant?
Is he accepting? Like, someone's doing everything they can to not be with him, and they go against him, and they are, how they act, how they speak, how they move around is completely against what he is. But he loves everybody.
Yes.
Is he
tolerant? Tolerance is an interesting word, because to tolerate someone is to put up with it. I wouldn't say Jesus is tolerant, because if you look at how he engaged with, for example, the Pharisees, he engaged with them, but he didn't put up with them necessarily. He would challenge them. He would try, but not. He would challenge them in their thinking and saying, like, okay, you know the law. This is your life. You're studying the Word of God, and yet you're twisting it. And often he would upset them, and they try and, there's some instances where they try and stone him. But then you've got other instances for where he meets the Samaritan woman at the well. Is Jesus tolerant? He is countercultural, because he meets this woman who, in the setting of that culture, that wasn't normal, because the Jews didn't like the Samaritans. And then also a man engaging with a woman on a one-to-one basis. Again, that's in that culture, that's sketchy stuff. But the way he engages with her, he meets her where she's at. So he accepts us and all of humanity where we're at, regardless of our circumstances and how broken and messed up we are. He will meet us where we're at. But then he takes that and he challenges it and saying, okay, do you really want to be in that situation? Do you really want to live like that? He met her where she was at. She shared a bit about her life with him. He exposed stuff that wasn't right, which she knew. But he exposed it in such a way that she's like, this guy is the real deal. He genuinely is. And they're talking about waiting for the Messiah, this promised seed that's going to come, and who's going to make all things new. And he's like, I'm that person. And she's like, you are that person.
I've got just a few last questions.
Yeah.
Say someone's never read the Bible.
Yeah.
They come across a copy.
Okay.
Where should they start? Where in the whole of the Bible, in all 66 books.
Yeah.
I like to think of the Bible as a library.
That's right. Yeah,
it's a
well, that's what
library.
Bible means. Yeah, it's a
100%.
library. Yeah.
So out of the whole Bible, if someone's coming across first time, never read it, where should they start?
I guess it depends on the kind of questions they have. A good start is always reading about Jesus' life.
Where does that begin in the Bible?
So that's near the 3/4 of the way in the Bible.
Right.
But as you said, it's a book of library. It's a library. It's a compilation of books and letters and things. And there's 4 books in there called, we talk about them as the Gospels. And there's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These are 4 people who wrote about Jesus' life and what he got up to, and his claim to being God in human form, and how he achieved what he achieved. John is different to the other 3 in that it's a lot more philosophical.
Okay.
Mark, it's the second gospel, is a very straight to the point. And the way Mark writes, he's a bit of a action kind of type of guy. If he was going to watch movies, he'll be a Jason Statham character. Constant action. The way he writes.
Yeah.
And each person writes in a slightly different way. So, and they highlight a different part of Jesus. So, read Mark for the kind of action-packed version of it. Yeah. Matthew is quite a Jewish perspective on it. And Luke is a kind of historical take on it. So the way he writes includes quite a lot of kind of facts of who are the people around at the time. So he's kind of very much a historical way. But all of them include Jesus' teachings. And how he taught. And some of them take a little bit of a slightly different way of how Jesus might have taught it.
But they all connect. They all match up.
Yeah, they're all related. Yeah. And sometimes some of the teaching in the one will be in a different place.
Okay.
Often people read them and think these 4 stories, or we'll take the 3, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. These 3 stories, they've got all kinds of differences in them. There's a lot that are the same, but there's quite a lot of differences as well. And so because of the differences, they are therefore not valid accounts. Because they don't say the same thing. But then when it comes to an eyewitness account of an event, depending on where you stood and your vantage point, you are going to highlight different things in the event that happened from your perspective and what's informed you and the people you talk to.
Right.
So it actually shows, rather than, they're not all saying the same thing, it's like they're highlighting their different perspectives and how they looked at what was happening and how they interpreted the information. And the other thing to bear in mind is the way these guys write is not how we write stories. We like to write stories in a chronological order.
Sure.
Makes sense, right?
100%,
That's they don't write like that. Matthew, for example, he'll write a bit, and then he's got a block of teaching, and then he'll write about certain things that relate to those bits of teaching. And it's not necessarily that it happened in chronological order, but it's more thematically based. So the first block of teaching you get from Matthew 5 to 7, which is called the Sermon on the Mount.
Right.
And the way that teaching is presented is like Moses being given the law on Mount Sinai. So there's this play of different characters in the Old Testament. And when you become a Bible nerd, it's really exciting because you start making these links like, it's like Moses. And when you read it the first time, you're not going to get that.
Sure.
And it's always just worth reading it just for the story as it is. And then the teaching and seeing what it's like. The more time you spend on it, you can reread it and reread it and reread it. You'll always get something from it.
Yeah.
So that's the New Testament. Start in the New Testament.
Okay.
That'd be a good start. And then Genesis, really, it starts with humanity, how God created humanity. I think start at the start. Genesis means the beginning.
Right.
The genesis of something is the beginning.
Okay.
So this is where you'll find the Adam and Eve story right at the beginning. You'll find the creation story of how God created the world. Bear in mind, we come from an age of science and we like to think scientifically about stuff.
Yeah.
That's not the purpose of these stories. It's not to give you scientific or a scientific description of how the world came about. It's got theological significance and philosophical significance. It's about worldview and how we understand the way the world works. So just bear that in mind when you read that. But get through Genesis. There's some fascinating stories in there. Yeah, Judges is fun. Lot going on in
We
Judges.
spoke about this yesterday. Judges is good. Yeah,
There's
very graphic.
There's a lot of well, if you like action.
Yeah.
But I think work your way through the Old Testament. So there is a bit of a storyline as it's woven through the Old Testament. Slowly work your way through there. Yeah.
Brilliant. What is your general advice to people out there, the younger generation?
Yeah.
People still working their way through lives. What is your advice?
How young are you talking?
Teenagers.
Middle
school to about college.
Well, I mean, there's a big difference in kind of what your those different stages of life, depending on where you're at in secondary school, for example. You might just be doing your GCSEs. But the biggest thing that the Bible is constantly trying to tell us is that relationships matter and how we treat one another matters. Like, that's one of the biggest themes throughout the Bible. And we have to navigate this world, we have to exercise self-control, be patient, and we have to work really hard on relationships. And this isn't romantic relationships. This is just any and every relationship with everyone. It starts with your parents. Your parents, as annoying as they might be, you have to remember that they used to be teenagers too. They used to have annoying parents as well. And they've grown through that. And actually, they're trying to pass their wisdom onto you, as much as you want to disagree with them. The real temptation and it's just part of this stage of life as well, when you're in your teens, is you want to get out there and live life. You want to be freed from the shackles of school and parents, and you want to explore life, because the way you're developing is you're becoming more aware of the world around you, and it's pretty exciting. There's stuff to explore, and so you want that freedom. But in today's day and age, where we've got 30-second TikTok videos, I don't know how long these TikTok videos. I'm not even on it. So save myself from that. We live in an instant gratification world that actually causes more problems than it does good, because it makes us impatient. So we think fruit of the Spirit is about patience. How long can you sit and just be and listen to people talk and understand people? Like, you require patience for that.
Sure. And it's also interesting, we have to look at what we're actually what we're watching, what we're looking at.
Yeah,
we look at these 30-second videos, but what is it we're looking at for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
I saw this really, really interesting thing. It's like you've got a wolf who's chained up in the light, and you've got a wolf who's chained up in the dark.
Yeah.
Who survives?
You've got a wolf. The one in the dark.
The one you feed. Your soul has to be fed.
Feed. Wow.
Your soul has to be fed with the right stuff.
Yeah,
otherwise, if they're not fed, they both die. It doesn't matter in the light or the dark. If you're not being fed.
Yeah.
And I mean, spiritually, we can look at the Bible and Christianity as feeding our soul. Every time we dive into the Bible.
Yeah, and we meditate on it. Yeah. And that's what Jesus means about good fruit. Another way he says it, from the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. So what you fill yourself up with, what you're constantly busy with. If you play a lot of games, if you're going to be gaming, that's what you're going to be talking about. You'll be talking about your gaming.
100%.
If you're into girls and you're chasing after girls all the time, that's what you're going to be talking and strategizing about. That's what you're going to be talking to your mates about.
Sure.
So if you like drama and you like creating drama, you like gossip, that's what you're going to be pursuing. But what does that produce? What kind of person, and ultimately what kind of character are you cultivating in yourself by pursuing these things? So
it's interesting.
It's really good fun.
And I love having people on. I can get their view of what it means.
And I think the big part of it is what shapes those views. How did you get there?
Because everyone has personal experiences, and they're molded in different ways, and they go through things other people haven't been through.
And I like observing the way when people talk. I like to hear can I figure out the source of where your information comes from? What shaped your ideas? What's the source of that? And if you can hear in people's language, I feel this, I feel that.
Yeah.
It's like, the source is your emotions. If you're talking about how you feel, I think, okay, that means
you try and think logically about stuff. But again, what ideas have you got in your head? Where do those ideas come from? What are you giving authority, or what authority are your ideas based in?
Sure.
What is it that you refer to?
Brilliant. Berno, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure, Rocco.
Thank you very much.